What if the loudest thing in your life isn't the world, but your own mind? Especially after 50, when the noise of external responsibilities begins to quiet down, many discover that the real unrest lies within. Memories, regrets, anxieties about health, loneliness, or the future begin to echo louder than ever before. In the stillness of aging, our thoughts, once drowned out by the busyness of life, now seem to take center stage. But Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us, peace is not something outside of us to be found, it is something within us to be remembered. The Buddha, more than 2,500 years ago, taught that the nature of suffering lies in our attachments, not just to people or things, but to thoughts, identities, and expectations. The inner noise we experience is often a reflection of our resistance to what is. Through mindfulness, compassion, and non-attachment, we are shown a path not to escape life, but to truly live it, peacefully and presently. In this video, we will explore how to quiet the mind naturally and compassionately. You'll learn why overthinking steals your present moment, why silence is not emptiness but a return to your true self, how to let go of the illusion of control, and how to enter the now with mindfulness. We'll also share practical Buddhist practices for calming the mind, especially in the later stages of life. Most importantly, we will reflect on the profound shift that occurs when you no longer identify with your thoughts but rest gently in the awareness behind them. Let us begin with the first insight on this journey toward inner stillness: why overthinking steals your present moment. As we grow older, particularly beyond the age of 50, many of us begin to notice something unexpected. Though the world around us may grow quieter, our minds seem to grow louder. The endless stream of thoughts, worries, and memories begins to dominate our days and even our nights. Overthinking becomes a silent burden, like carrying an invisible bag filled with stones, regrets from the past, what-ifs about choices never made, and anxious thoughts about health, relationships, aging, and the uncertainty of tomorrow. This mental weight often goes unnoticed, yet it robs us of life's most precious gift, the present moment. Buddhist wisdom gently teaches us that suffering does not arise from life itself, but from our attachments to thoughts, emotions, and expectations. The Buddha's words echo clearly here: do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. But the human mind, especially when untrained and unobserved, becomes like a restless monkey, swinging from one branch of thought to another, grasping at every idea, memory, or worry. Especially after 50, when we begin to slow down physically and our responsibilities lessen, the mind may fill that space with inner commentary. We replay old conversations, wonder what could have been, and try to mentally prepare for every possible future difficulty. Yet, in doing so, we unknowingly abandon the one place where life truly happens, this very moment. Overthinking is not just a mental habit, it becomes a barrier that separates us from the richness of now. Instead of drinking tea, we think about tomorrow's doctor visit. Instead of enjoying a walk, we replay an old argument. Slowly, we drift away from reality and live inside our thoughts. It's like standing in a garden full of blooming flowers but never seeing their colors because your eyes are fixed on your phone. The beauty of life passes us by while we are busy analyzing it. Buddhism doesn't tell us that thoughts are the enemy, it simply reveals that we are not our thoughts. Just as clouds pass through the open sky, thoughts pass through the vastness of our awareness. We get into trouble when we confuse the clouds for the sky, when we believe every passing thought is important, urgent, or true. The practice of mindfulness helps us shift from being lost in thought to observing thought. We begin to see, gently and compassionately, how much time and energy we spend living in mental projections rather than actual experiences. After 50, we are offered a precious invitation to let go, not of life itself, but of the mental noise that keeps us from living it fully. Meditation, conscious breathing, walking mindfully, and simply pausing to listen, these small practices open the door to the present. And in the present, there is no regret, no fear, no judgment, only peace. It doesn't mean challenges disappear, but we face them with a calm and steady heart, no longer tangled in mental stories. Overthinking thrives on fear and control, but mindfulness dissolves that need by reconnecting us to what is. And what is often much more peaceful than what we imagine. So in the gentle silence of now, may we release the heavy burden of trying to fix the past or predict the future. May we come home to ourselves, not by doing more, but by thinking less. The present moment is not hiding, it is patiently waiting for us to return. And when we do, we discover that peace of mind, spiritual growth, and deep inner healing were never far away, they were simply buried beneath our thoughts. Now, let us reflect on the second truth in this journey toward peace, how silence is not emptiness, but a return to self. For many, especially in later years, silence can feel unfamiliar, even unsettling. After a lifetime filled with conversations, responsibilities, and constant noise, the sudden stillness that often comes with aging can feel like a void. But in Buddhism, silence is not a sign of loneliness or lack, it is a sacred space, a doorway back to who we truly are beneath all the mental noise. True silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of awareness. To help us understand this, let us turn to a Zen story passed down for centuries, a tale both simple and profound. Once, in ancient Japan, a university professor came to visit the Zen master Nanin to learn about Zen. The professor was well-read, full of knowledge, and carried an air of certainty. When he arrived, he introduced himself with confidence and said, "I've come to learn about Zen. Teach me." Nanin welcomed him kindly and invited him to sit. Then, without saying much, the master began to serve tea. He poured the tea carefully into the professor's cup. The cup filled, but Nanin kept pouring. Tea began to spill over the rim, onto the saucer, and then onto the floor. Alarmed, the professor exclaimed, "Stop! The cup is full. No more will go in." Nanin gently stopped pouring and looked at the man. "You are like this cup," he said softly. "You are full of your own opinions and thoughts. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" This story is not just about a cup of tea, it is about the silence we resist. Just like the professor, many of us have spent decades filling our minds with ideas, roles, expectations, and judgments. When we finally reach a time in life when things slow down, the silence that appears can feel uncomfortable. But this silence is not empty, it is space for something deeper to emerge. In the stillness, we begin to feel life more fully. We notice the sound of birds, the sensation of breath, the presence of being itself. This is not emptiness, it is spaciousness. The mind may label silence as boring or lonely, but the heart knows it as peace. The Buddha often retreated into silence not as an escape, but as a return to presence. He taught that when the senses rest and the mind quiets, insight naturally arises. In silence, we are no longer reacting, we are simply being. After 50, silence is not a punishment or a loss, it is a gentle invitation to reconnect. You are not the noise of your mind or the roles you once played. Beneath all that, you are awareness itself, calm, clear, and compassionate. But to rediscover that, you must make space. Just as the tea could not be poured into a full cup, wisdom cannot enter a mind that is too noisy. This is why mindfulness practices often begin with silence, watching the breath, listening deeply, or just sitting. These are not empty acts, they are acts of returning. And in that return, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel whole again, not because you have added anything, but because you have removed what covered your essence. Silence reveals the self that was always there, patient, open, and untouched by time. It is not a place of absence, but of presence. It does not take you away from life, it brings you back to it. So if you find yourself in a season of silence, welcome it not with fear, but with reverence. It may be the most honest companion you've ever had. And within that stillness, you may hear the softest, most healing voice of all, your own. Now we come to the third profound insight on this journey toward peace, the illusion of control, and the power of letting go. As we grow older, many of us discover a quiet but persistent struggle within, the desire to control what cannot be controlled. We want to hold on to our health, our routines, our loved ones, and even the outcomes of events that are far beyond our reach. We plan, we predict, we prepare, hoping that if we think hard enough, worry long enough, or try hard enough, we can keep life in order. But the truth is gently revealed in Buddhist teachings. Much of our suffering comes not from life itself, but from our resistance to its natural flow. The Buddha taught that clinging leads to suffering, and this includes clinging to control. Like trying to grasp water in your hands, the tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. Control is a comforting illusion we create to protect ourselves from uncertainty, yet life, by its very nature, is uncertain. The body changes, roles change, people come and go, and time becomes more precious. Trying to control all of this is like standing in a river and shouting at the current to stop. It will not stop, but you can stop resisting. Letting go does not mean giving up or becoming passive. In Buddhism, letting go is an act of wisdom and courage. It means accepting what is, without forcing what is not. It is choosing peace over the exhausting habit of control. It is loosening the grip on things, people, and outcomes, and learning to trust the natural rhythm of life. Imagine holding a leaf in the palm of your hand. If you clench your fist, the leaf crumples. If you hold it gently, it rests peacefully. Our experiences, too, need to be held with gentleness. When we let go of control, something surprising happens. We become free. Free to experience life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Free to respond with calm instead of reacting with fear. Free to rest in the deep trust that all things arise and pass away, just like waves on the ocean. The Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." These words remind us that loss is often made harder by our unwillingness to release. Letting go, then, is not a loss. It is a return to peace. After a lifetime of striving, letting go is a sacred act of rest. It allows us to live not with constant tension, but with spaciousness. It opens the heart and softens the mind. Whether it is letting go of expectations, pain, regrets, or fear, this practice is not about detachment from life, but a deeper engagement with it, without trying to control it. In that space, we discover a quiet strength, a gentle clarity, and a lasting inner peace that control could never provide. Now we arrive at the fourth wisdom on our journey: how to enter the present moment and stay there. In a world that constantly urges us to do more, remember more, and worry more, the present moment is often the last place we truly inhabit. Yet, after the age of 50, life begins to offer us a quieter landscape, not as a loss, but as an invitation. The Buddha taught that true peace can only arise in the here and now, not in memories of what was or anxieties over what will be. The present moment is not a narrow slice of time, it is the entire field of life, unfolding breath by breath. But how do we enter it, and more importantly, how do we stay there? To understand this, let us reflect on a profound episode from the Buddha's own life. One morning, the Blessed One was walking near the Ganges River with a group of monks. They came across a man sitting by the water, exhausted and weeping. The man had lost a precious jewel while washing and was distraught. Seeing the Buddha, he cried, "Master, I have lost what was most dear to me. My life is ruined." The Buddha knelt beside him and pointed to the flowing river. "Just as this river does not stop for anyone," he said, "so does life. You suffer not because of the jewel, but because your mind is not where your body is. Your eyes see the water flowing, but your thoughts are searching the past." The man looked up, puzzled. The Buddha continued, "Return to this breath, this moment. Let your mind be where your body stands. When you are truly here, you lose nothing." This teaching, simple yet transformative, reminds us that suffering often comes not from events, but from our absence. The mind wanders to what was or could be, dragging us away from the sacredness of now. The breath, a gentle anchor, is always present and always free. To enter the present moment, we begin with awareness, awareness of the breath, the body, the feeling of the feet on the ground, the sounds in the air. These are not distractions, they are pathways back to reality. After 50, when many distractions fall away, we have a rare opportunity to walk this path with more depth. Buddhist wisdom invites us not to battle the wandering mind but to gently guide it home. Each time you notice your thoughts drifting, you are already halfway back. With mindfulness, each sip of tea becomes a ceremony. Each step becomes a meditation. Each breath becomes a blessing. To stay in the present moment is not to trap the mind, it is to free it from chasing illusions. The Buddha said, "A disciplined mind brings happiness." That discipline is not harsh, it is soft, forgiving, and patient. Even if you return to the moment 100 times in one day, each return is an act of liberation. With practice, you begin to notice the subtle joys that were always there, the rustling of leaves, the warmth of sunlight, the rhythm of your own heart. Life becomes less about what is missing and more about what is already here. This is the miracle of presence. And when you learn to live in this way, time no longer feels like it is slipping away, it feels like it is finally being lived. The present moment does not just contain peace. It is peace. And once you enter it, with reverence and regularity, you will find it is the only place you ever truly need it to be. Now let us gently move into the fifth part of this journey, simple daily practices to quiet your thoughts after 50. In the later chapters of life, we often seek simplicity, not as an escape, but as a return. After decades of responsibilities, achievements, and struggles, the mind can become like a room filled with clutter, memories, anxieties, conversations, and future worries all swirling in one space. And yet, Buddhist wisdom teaches that we don't need to silence the mind with force, nor do we need to escape it. Instead, we can quietly rearrange the inner room, open the windows, and let peace in, through small, sacred daily actions. The key is consistency over intensity. Begin your day with a single mindful breath before anything else, before your feet touch the floor. This breath is not just air, it is life reminding you that you are here, now. As the Buddha said, with mindfulness, strive on. That breath becomes your compass, guiding you to act, speak, and think with presence. After rising, dedicate just 5 minutes to silent sitting. No apps, no instructions, just sit upright, gently close your eyes, and watch your breath come and go. If thoughts appear, smile inwardly and let them pass like clouds. This is not to block the mind, but to make friends with it. The mind, once befriended, begins to slow down naturally. You may then create a mindful walking habit, not as exercise, but as a daily meditation. Choose a quiet path, perhaps in your garden or home, and walk slowly, barefoot if possible, feeling the ground beneath you. Say silently, "I have arrived," with each step. Walking like this, your worries dissolve into the rhythm of movement. Throughout the day, practice mindful pauses. For example, before answering a phone call, pause and take one breath. Before eating, place your hand on your chest and silently offer gratitude for the meal. As you chew, chew slowly. Don't fill the time with television or distraction. Let the moment be full. These small pauses create sacred space inside the noise. You may also create a gratitude bowl at home. Each evening, write down one peaceful moment from your day, a smile, a breeze, a kind word, and place it in the bowl. This trains the mind to look for stillness, and with time, the mind begins to quiet itself. Another beautiful practice is listening meditation. At dusk or dawn, sit quietly and just listen. Listen not for meaning, but for presence. The birds, the wind, the ticking of a clock, each sound brings you back to now. Do not label, do not resist. Just be. Before sleep, try a forgiveness reflection. Recall the day, and whisper softly, "Whatever I did, whatever I didn't do, I forgive myself." Release the burden of perfection. The Buddha taught, you, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Finally, keep one mindful object nearby, perhaps a stone, a mala bead, or a flower. Let it serve as a gentle reminder throughout the day. Each time your eyes fall on it, breathe. Return to yourself. These practices are not rituals of escape, they are returns to peace. After 50, your life does not need to become quieter outside to become quieter within. The noise in the mind begins to soften not because the world has changed, but because you have chosen to meet it with awareness. In this simplicity, there is great power. In these tiny, repeated acts of mindfulness, you don't just quiet the mind, you return to the truth of who you are, spacious, gentle, aware. Peace does not need to be created. It needs only to be uncovered, breath by breath, step by step. And now, we gently arrive at the sixth and final part of this reflection. The life-changing shift from identifying with your thoughts to becoming the awareness behind them. This is not just a practice, it is a deep turning point on the inner path, where we begin to see that we are not the endless stream of thoughts that pass through the mind, but the spacious, silent awareness within which those thoughts appear and dissolve. Most people live their lives fully identified with their thinking, as if every idea, memory, emotion, or mental image is who they are. But Buddhist wisdom patiently shows us that our thoughts are not the truth, they are passing weather. And the one who observes them, that silent witness within, is your true self. To understand this more clearly, let us step into the story of Linda, a 67-year-old retired teacher from Oregon. After retiring, Linda found herself surrounded by silence, but internally filled with noise. Thoughts raced through her mind: "You're no longer useful, you wasted years, you should have done more." These voices became her identity. She tried journaling, reading self-help books, even meditation apps, but nothing truly shifted. Then one day, while attending a small mindfulness retreat in the countryside, she sat in a guided meditation where the instructor asked just one question: "Can you notice the voice in your mind?" and then ask, "Who is noticing it?" At first, Linda was puzzled. But as she sat quietly, something happened. She began to realize that her thoughts, as loud and emotional as they were not her. They were stories, narratives shaped by memory, fear, and habit. And behind those stories was something else, still, soft, and unshaken. It was simply aware. "I felt like I met myself for the first time," Linda later shared. From that moment on, she began a new journey, not of fixing her thoughts, but of witnessing them. She learned to greet each mental storm with the calm of presence. And in doing so, her anxiety softened. Her regrets faded. And her joy returned, not because life had changed, but because she had discovered the changeless space within. This is the heart of what the Buddha taught when he said, "There is an unborn, unaging, unailing, deathless, sorrowless state, and that is your refuge." That refuge is the awareness behind your thoughts, the part of you that doesn't cling, doesn't grasp, and doesn't suffer. The transformation begins the moment you pause and simply observe your thoughts without judgment. Not, "I am anxious," but "anxiety is arising." Not, "I am a failure," but "a thought about failure is passing through." This subtle shift is not denial, it is clarity. It gives you space to breathe, to choose, to be free. When you no longer believe every thought, the mind begins to settle. You are no longer its prisoner, you become its caretaker. You respond instead of react. You see instead of assume. And the peace that arises is not temporary, it is foundational. In your daily life, you can practice this awareness gently. The next time you catch yourself lost in thought, pause and ask, "Who is noticing this thought?" Let the question open the door to spaciousness. Sit with that stillness. Breathe into it. Walk through your day not as someone controlled by the mind, but as someone witnessing it with compassion. Over time, this practice deepens. You may be doing the dishes or watching the sky, and suddenly realize, "I am here. Fully. Quietly. Alive." And you'll understand that you don't have to control your thoughts to find peace, you only have to stop mistaking yourself for them. You are not the voice in your head. You are the awareness that hears it. And that awareness is timeless, boundless, and free. It existed before the fears. It will remain long after the worries fade. To live from that space is not just to survive, but to awaken. And that is the true gift of mindfulness in aging, not more doing, but more being. Not more noise, but deeper listening. Not more answers, but clearer seeing. When you become the awareness behind your thoughts, you return home, not to a new identity, but to your original, peaceful self. And now, dear friend, we have gently come to the end of this reflective journey, where we explored not just methods for quieting the mind, but the deeper path of returning to our truest, most peaceful self. Each section has offered a lantern to light your way, beginning with the burdens of overthinking, which steal the sweetness of the present moment, and leading you into the profound stillness that is not empty but deeply full of presence. We journeyed through the painful illusion of control and the soft relief that comes from letting go. We sat with the Buddha beneath the Bodhi tree to understand how the present moment is not a fleeting chance but a home we can return to again and again. We then walked through gentle daily practices to calm the inner storm and, finally, explored the life-changing realization that we are not our thoughts, but the silent awareness that observes them, unshaken, compassionate, and free. And now, as the words begin to settle and the space behind them opens, I invite you to pause and feel the quiet within you. This quiet is not absence. It is presence. It is not retreat. It is return. In Buddhist teachings, silence is not the opposite of noise, it is the natural state beneath it. The Buddha often taught through silence, offering no answer to questions meant only to stir the intellect, because some truths must be felt, not spoken. And this is one of them: peace is not something you must achieve, it is something you already are, once you stop chasing, clinging, and resisting. Especially after 50, when the world grows quieter and the pace of life slows, many find themselves face to face with their inner dialogue for the first time. But instead of fearing that stillness, we can embrace it as a sacred invitation. Just as a pond becomes clear only when its surface is undisturbed, our true nature reveals itself only when the ripples of thought begin to still. Rooted in spiritual teachings and expressed with tenderness, this video is especially crafted for those seeking inner peace in the later stages of life. Whether you're on a path of personal growth, mindfulness, or healing, this message will speak to your heart, softly, yet powerfully. Aging with grace is not about having fewer wrinkles or more answers, it is about having deeper clarity, more compassion for yourself and others, and a peaceful relationship with the moment as it is. You are not too late. You have not missed your chance. Each breath you take now is a doorway into the sacred present, and in that present lives a freedom greater than any success, any regret, or any plan you once held. The Buddha said, "Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life." Let this be your fire, not to burn through life, but to illuminate it gently. And as this video draws to a close, take a deep breath. Let go of needing to hold on. Release the grip of expectations. You do not need to control your life. You only need to meet it, one breath at a time, with loving awareness. Let silence become your companion, not as a void, but as a friend who always tells the truth. Let it speak to you, not with words, but with peace. And now, may your path be light, your heart be open, and your days filled with mindful simplicity. You do not need to become more. You only need to remember who you are beneath the noise. We would love to hear your voice now. In the comments below, please share your story. What thoughts or habits have you been learning to let go of? What moments of silence have changed you? What part of this video spoke to your heart the most? Whether you're just beginning your mindfulness journey or have been walking this path for years, your reflections could inspire someone else. If this message has touched you, please like the video, subscribe to Mindful Pathway Media, and share it with someone who may need a little peace today. Your presence here matters. Let's grow this circle of compassion, one mindful breath at a time.